Brentford 3, Manchester United 1. Another disaster. Another woeful managerial display from Ruben Amorim. Some massive mistakes in that starting lineup. A team that today showed no progression, showed no togetherness, and demonstrated there is no future for Ruben Amorim. I said last night on the United stand, I said it yesterday on Straight Facts, that I did expect to win. Brentford have not been a very good team this year. They've thrown away leads. They've been nowhere near their usual standard. We had a very good win against Chelsea in the context of the situation. An opportunity to win 2 on the bounce. An opportunity to play with some intensity, play with some character, play a little bit of quality. And we didn't get that for any real moment in today's game. What we witnessed today was so embarrassing. There is maybe some Bayern saves. Šeško got a goal. Outside of that, there is absolutely nothing constructive. There was nothing to take from the game. We didn't learn anything new. There wasn't even an element of should have scored these goals, created these chances. None of it. Absolutely none of it. This was absolutely, categorically repugnant. Repugnant on every single level. I said after the Grimsby game that I had lost faith. But I am a football fan and I am fickle at times when it comes to my own football club because I am emotional. I love my football club. Since then, we had some performances I quite liked. We had some results that were good for us. But this manager can't make us consistent. What was he doing today? Why did he think, first of all, Lenny Yoro's not put a foot wrong all season. Why is he suddenly on the bench, Ruben? Why is he currently sitting on the bench? A great opportunity to give Kobbie Mainoo a game, a great opportunity to give Kobbie Mainoo a start, a great opportunity for Kobbie Mainoo to demonstrate why he should be in the team, and you go for Ugarte. This game was never going to be a battle in the middle. You'll probably find Brentford, United probably had slightly more of the ball. Damsgaard's good in the middle, but that wasn't the issue today. Brentford were only going to score one way, and that was going to be by going long. So what do you need? Let's have some pace at the back. You got Lenny Yoro, you got Heaven on the bench. Those guys have got some genuine raw speed to keep up with the Brentford players. Doesn't do it. The midfield, what we needed wasn't a destroyer today in Ugarte. What we needed was some quality on the ball, someone that could break the lines. And lo and behold, the penalty we got comes from Lenny Yoro and Mainoo moving the ball around, gets played in. Stonewall penalty. Should have been a red card, by the way, and we will address that later in the show. Should have been a red card. Absolute ridiculous decision. But it was the only time we really broke a line. Now, then we got desperate towards the end, and we're obviously throwing a lot of players forward. But those 2 mistakes for me today from Ruben Amorim, disgraceful. Disgraceful. Now, I'm going to get called out for what I'm about to say because people think it's going to be a deflection. But so I'm prefacing this at the beginning. These players, for me, whether it's they don't fancy it, they don't believe in it, they don't want to work hard enough, combination of, variation of, there's something there. At home this season, I know we lost to Arsenal. When the crowd's up, when there's adrenaline, they seem to be okay. It's in terms of overall performance, missing chances, a brain fart from a keeper, but overall performances have been pretty good. Away from home, this team looks so scared, petrified. And I'm watching the match and it's slow and there's no... Where'd the intensity go? The opening 5 minutes against Chelsea. The majority of the game against Arsenal, it's hard to judge more of the Chelsea game because we purposely slowed it down after that and scored our goals and tried to counter 10v10 in the second half, leading. It's a hard one to move on from. Burnley, intensity. Fulham, large parts of the game, good intensity. Even the City game, opening 25 minutes, good intensity. Second half, we're losing, but we showed intensity. Why was there none today? What is it that Ruben cannot get into these players? What is it they're not buying into? I need help with that one. It could be as basic as they just don't rate the system, Terry. That could be it. But from my point of view and from my situation, some people are going to defend the manager wholeheartedly, 100%. That's wrong. Some are going to blame him 100% for all these problems. That is also wrong. My mind hasn't changed on that. There are still player issues. But this manager is not going to be able to get this team winning consistently. He's got the whole week on the training pitch, and we are not getting better. Do I think sacking him? I'm sorry to say these words, and it's going to offend some. Do I think that fixes us based on my definition of being fixed? Getting back to the top, being able to compete for titles? No. There's a longer process to that. But do I think another manager can get us winning more games, make us more consistent, get better out of this squad? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We are in relegation form for the past 30-odd games, and it isn't good enough from the manager. The only thing I won't criticize him for today is the substitution at the back. We needed to bring Lenny Euro on. Should have started the game, though, so the mistake is still there. But for me, Ruben Amorim is finished at Manchester United. He's finished. I don't know where he goes from here. I felt today was a massive turning point. A massive, let me retract that, not turning point, sliding doors moment. Can you win 2 on the bounce? Can we play the last home game before the international break, looking for 3 wins on the road, pushing ourselves into a European position in the league? Can we build some confidence? No. We are back to square one again. Again. And Ruben Amorim is not doing a good enough job. Some of you love him. I understand it, but he is not doing a good enough job, period. Point blank. He isn't. Cannot be defended. And the players. Oh, these players. Bluffers. So many of them are bluffers. So many of them have no place at Manchester United. Starting Maguire for the first goal. This picture is very significant. This moment here is when the ball bounces. And you can actually see, yes, the ball's going towards Thiago, so it's not nearer to him, but the ball would have bounced along to him. Maguire stepping forward the way he did for that first goal. Utterly ridiculous on every single level. All he had to do was track the flight of the ball. He could have run with his facing his own goal, looking backwards. If he runs along with the player, if he's that close to the ball when it bounces after jumping forward and starting a run flat-footed, if he'd have started his run properly, tracked the ball, probably clears that. Horrendous. The next goal, same difference. This is the first picture. De Ligt gets caught the wrong side. But instead of, I want to be able to demonstrate this to you, but instead of doing what everyone in football normally does, where you go, right, I'm out of position, but I'm going to go backwards and track it, he starts running around in circles. By the time he catches up with Thiago, he doesn't know where the ball is. Horrendous defending again. Bruno Fernandes. Now, a lot of people, I've called out Amorim. I made sure I did it first. Bruno Fernandes. Another big penalty miss. Regardless of how we did or didn't play today, Manchester United had a chance to make it 2-2. This Brentford team has been vulnerable this year when they've conceded goals. I have a slight sympathy that he was made to wait 4 minutes. Also, they should have been down to 10 men. I'm not moving away from that. I don't understand how that's not denying a clear goal scoring. How it's not. Maybe because he hasn't touched the ball yet. Maybe they think he might miss it. As in miss the ball altogether. Maybe. But Bruno, yes, made to wait 4 minutes, but it's twice now in the opening 6 games he's missed a decisive and huge penalty. And this might sound a bit like hyperbole, but I'd take him off penalties now and give another player a chance. Mbeumo's got an amazing conversion rate of penalties in open play. I know he missed one in the shootout, but in open play, because those 2 goals, those 2 penalties now missed from Bruno in 6 games, that can change things. Goals change games. Horrendous overall today from Bruno. That miss, terrible. I've mentioned De Ligt, I've mentioned Maguire, awful. Ugarte shouldn't have been starting this game. Dreadful performance. I want to get on to some of the new guys as well today. I thought Mbeumo played okay, but just no end product, overhitting crosses, through balls overpowered. And I actually thought Cunha had a stinker. Now, it won't stand out like other player stinkers because he'll do a Rabona, he'll do a great touch and turn, and people get excited. I did. But where was the end product today? Shooting when he should be playing players in. We've got to keep the same energy, right? If Bruno shoots when he should lay someone in, we have a go at him, rightfully so. Got to keep the same energy. Because what I'm not going to do is just focus purely on a manager. These players today were also bluffers. No intensity, not working hard enough. And when they had the ball at their feet, when they had the ball under their control, shocking. Shocking. Every single one of them should hang their head in shame. Well done to Šeško for the goal. Congrats. I thought Bayern actually played okay today. So those 2 for me. And listen, Mainu and Lenny Yoro, I don't really give them any stick. They came on late when the game was almost lost. Xerxes as well. But the managers for me today, some will blame the system completely and just go, it's the system. Maybe it is. Maybe the players don't buy into it. Maybe the players, they're not buying into it. Last week, I'm being told, Terry, you can't say those players ain't working for him. We look so different away to we do at home. There's something about it. Some of that probably is confidence and the amount of games we haven't won. But I'm being honest with you. I don't see the manager turning this round. I hope that he does. I pray that he does. I always want to win. And I felt that we were going to come here today and I thought we were going to get it done. I thought, let's go there. Let's play with that intensity we showed early against Chelsea. What we showed in so many games this season just wasn't there. And I think it's over for him. I hope I'm wrong and he turns it round and we play better football. But can any of you actually see it? Do any of you actually believe it? Because I don't. I felt today was a sliding door moment. And if we continue on this path, and when I say this path, I'm talking about this manager with these players, we're finished this season. We are finished. Give me your thoughts, give me your views, give me your opinions in the comment section below. But I feel broken, man. I feel broken again. Let's go to some of your comments here. I've not been ignoring them. I just had to get that off my chest. I really had to get that off my chest today. Let's go back through. It's time for Ruben to go. I don't see him changing this around. But we've seen these types of performances from these players under so many managers. Andre, this is where I agree with you completely. And it's very hard for some people because they just want to say they were right. It's very hard for some people, some individual Manchester United fans, because they just want to say, I told you so. And this, if anyone wants to come on and say that, we're going to share the link. You're free to come on. I'm going to do my best to not engage back, but this is where I agree with you. I've seen this before from some of our players. For instance, the Maguire mistake for the first goal. I don't blame the system per se for that. I would have started the game with faster centre-backs, yes. But why is Maguire still here? He has these periods where he does well for 5-6 months and everyone seems to forget how bad he can be. I agree. Potter incoming. Oh, yeah. Can you fucking imagine? Can you imagine? Ads here says, not good enough. Been hearing Maguire is our best centre-back. De Ligt buried for Maguire's mistake. Typical. Love T. Chat's gonna get crazy. Big up ads. Look, I thought De Ligt was also partly at fault for the second goal. I don't think De Ligt had a good game today, but De Ligt's been amazing playing in that central role with Lenny Yoro at the other side of him. The manager's changed it again. And there's no need to keep changing our centre-backs around. Lenny Yoro should be starting every game. We're playing once a week. Lenny Yoro and De Ligt, for me, I'd be playing heaven as well. I just like when those guys play together. Manager ain't doing it. It's on him. Absolutely on him. Why isn't Mbeumo taking on the lone defender? Yeah, I thought Mbeumo, I said some good touches in that today. I thought Mbeumo had a poor game. And listen, I don't believe that's the instructions of the manager. I don't believe that. Some will. For me, this is why I won't not criticize the players just because the manager's having a bad time. The Ollie Watford game, get him out now. I hear you. We're not in the 90s or noughties. Jose talked about heritage and Brentford always beat us away. Judge us against Sunderland, not today. That actually cheered me up. Patience and believe. Well, there are times for patience. And then there are times to criticize. And I'm not going to go back on that. Like, was it time to panic in the summer when the lies came out that we'd be keeping Rasmus Højlund? No, keep your calm. You don't need to drag the club through the mud for that. Is it right to criticize today? Absolutely. But it's about being consistent, English talent. And what I mean by being consistent is I'll give you an example. Today, if we'd have come back and scored 2 late goals, I don't think I'd have been celebrating today. I might have had a bit more of a smile, but there were so many things wrong, I would have been focused on the bad performance. When we were about to take that penalty, a thought went through my mind, which was, if we turn this around from here, I said, it's going to be mad. I'm actually going to be happier after some defeats this season than I would be a win in that circumstance. Because the performance is what I've been focusing on for the vast majority of this season. It's how the performance is looking. Can we become consistent from that? And today, for me, was the first basic 90-minute, absolutely horrendous performance in the Premier League this season. In all the other games, there were passages and periods where we actually look quite good. There's something you can take from that. The same as when you win, there are still areas that you can criticize and move on from. It just feels, English Talent FC, that there's a lot of people that don't want to live in that world anymore, and they want everything to be about their sort of their perspective and their agenda. Not an agenda like they're lying, but the biggest thing and the most important thing to them, rather than having a balanced conversation. Ruben defends his system all he wants. It doesn't work. Look, I think it's one of these things where, will it work somewhere else if and when he goes? Potentially, it could. Is it working here right now? No. This is the balance in the conversation for me. Do I expect him to be getting 70% win ratio with this squad, with his system, with any manager with their system? No. Do I expect it to be higher than the sort of 15, 20% we're currently operating at? Yes. And this is where sometimes it's hard to have conversations with people because everything's an extreme. And then you end up looking like an extremist yourself because you're debating these amoebas. And for me, it's a case of it isn't working to a point where you can go. It isn't working to a point where he's going to give himself any more time. If we were winning 2 games out of every 3, you could say, oh, you know what? As he gets more and more better players, we can push that up by 10%, 15%. And suddenly you're in a better space. I agree. Isn't there an anti-double whammy rule so that the player doesn't get sent off in case he's the last man? Only if they're making an attempt to win the ball and if it's inside the box. So had Collins slid in to make a tackle and tripped him up, it's a yellow. But if it's a pull, it's meant to be I can't wait to see that on Ref Watch. Now, look, I always call out inconsistent refereeing, and I will dedicate some time to that. There's no doubt. It's a stonewall red card for me. I cannot understand why it wasn't given. Would it have helped us? Would that happens? Do we score the penalty? Do we go on to win the game? Potentially. Would I defer? This is where you get football fans that are really strange. They won't want to speak about that because I don't want any excuses. It's not an excuse. It's a real issue you call out alongside criticizing your team. My view is it's not about you don't want excuses. It's because your brain can't function in a multi-topic situation. It isn't our fault, but no, it was a red card for me. Worst manager in the league. Amorim inners are deluded. Terry, I understand that the problems are bigger than the coach and the players, but that wasn't acceptable. The effort by both was on the level of Grimsby. Try something different. Amorim knows that's not everything, but do something. Listen, I couldn't agree with you more, O'Malley. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm a big advocate for what you're saying. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. This is, of course, it's bigger than the coach and bigger than the players to get United back to the top. But this is where me and Staffy, people think we were fighting. I was fighting with him because he was more so because he was ignoring the fact I was agreeing with large parts of what he said. And I wanted to get into the weeds. I wanted to get into the granular detail about the most important part of that, not the word fixed. And that is, it isn't working. The step you need to progress, we're not taking it. So yes, everything else is right, that the squad needs to improve, culture, a manager needs time. But we're not taking that first step of progression. It isn't happening. And I think one thing that stood out to me that the manager said in the last week, and my hope, because of course I hope things go well for my club, was that when he was saying, I won't change for the Pope. If people keep telling me to change, I won't change. There is part of me that loves that on a man-to-man level. It's like, you know what? Fair enough. He's like, no one's going to make me. Like, for instance, if I owed KJ £10 and he keeps asking me for it, I'm probably not going to pay him for a longer period. I'm going to keep waiting. It's like, I'll give it to you. And then what I might do, I saw this done once by a bloke. We were in the States at a kickboxing tournament, and we all bought these t-shirts, and this guy had them made, and he kept on pressing everyone every morning at breakfast for their money. And one of the guys, Kevin, that dads of the kids, he bought 5 t-shirts. Yeah, you owe me $50, you owe me $50, you owe me $50. He wouldn't stop going on about it. So Kevin went, there you go, and gave him $100 bill. And he went, oh, I haven't got any change. And he went, right, now you owe me $50. And it was just a funny moment. We pressed him for it for days. It was funny. And Kevin was quite a scary bloke, and it was just a funny moment. And so there is an element of me that likes it. But on a footballing level, him not adapting when he probably knows he needs to, but he isn't because he's being asked to do it by individuals, I just look at it and think it's not helping my football club. Whether it's a great principled way to behave or live, everyone's going to have a different view on that. It isn't helping Man United. And that is all I really care about at the end of the day. Don't even like Amorim, but if I see a panelist blame him today, Brentford beat us 3 times there. The fact that we are close to 2-2 shows progression. You're actually cheering me up today. Listen, I know you're speaking very sarcastically and a little pedantically, but there are elements of truth to what you say. Some will just go all in on Amorim, and that's their right to. But I do agree it's far more multi-layered than that, my friend. Far more multi-layered. United, the itch of the Premier League. Speaking on my booty cheeks, he has been poor. Today, not always. He's been good in other games. No Sanchez in goal. Man United Football Club are back. I've had a lot of shit from Chelsea fans actually over this, and it's like, listen, it shows how I still think it's more embarrassing for you. You got beat by us. Blaming Bayern like someone like some are is shitting your pants and changing your shirt. Even with possession, Amorim's system is innately flawed. Amorim out. Yeah, Bayern there wasn't at fault for too much at all today for me. Made some really good saves. We're reviewing this game individually. I wouldn't put any real blame on him today. Amorim's joint longest winning streak is over. Brian Mbumo and Cunha are terrible. They weren't good today. They weren't good, especially Cunha. He's so much better than he showed today. I don't need to say Amorim out. He will sack himself. Bruno wants Amorim out. That penalty showed that. And Wilshere, I think maybe... Oh, so that's from last night. That's last night's super chat. We will see. Arteta doesn't get enough credit. Arsenal and United were at the same stage. Arteta fixed the broken culture. United keep falling behind with every sacked manager. Please give a shout out. I don't know if that's a word that's meant to make me up. Big up to BG is what I'm going to say there. Ineos are worse than the Glazers. They think it's okay to be this bad, just like Nice. The Glazers would have sacked this manager last season. Time to think about Southgate. I mean, it's not ideal, Southgate, but he'll win more games than this. That I'm very sure of. What's wrong with Mbeumo? He's unrecognizable now. I mean, this is also it. I mean, it's such a common. I think he's been good in other games. Very good against City. Very good in the Chelsea game. Very good in the Burnley game. So I don't think he's been bad the whole time. Maybe today, do you know what's really interesting? Today might have been a game where, and I'm sorry to do this, everyone who hates us going back to history, but I'm talking about a time when we were good. This may have been a game because he's going back to his old stomping ground. I remember Fergie sometimes when Rooney was in his pomp, putting him on the bench for the Everton game, just because sometimes it can be a little bit too much. We probably didn't have that luxury today with Ahmad also being away, but you maybe could do that. Hindsight's lucrative, but that's what a review is. You're looking back on something that's happened, so of course you're going to use hindsight. Maybe you start Bruno in the 10, Mainu and Ugarte in the middle, and you bring in Mbeumo on later. Looking back at it, he didn't have a great game. He didn't at all. I feel like relegation is going to be the shock to the system United needs. But to do what, though? Fans are still going to buy shirts. Fans are still going to go to games. The owners aren't going to sell. So I don't get what it really changes, if I'm being absolutely honest with you. But there we go. Do me a favor, please, and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I'm going to bring the panel out now. Small panel today, but there we go. It's fine because I've got to get the other games. Got to get the other games on in front of me as well. But KJ is joining me, and Aiden is going to be joining me in a few seconds on the show as well. Let me just change a few bits on my screen over. Let me put this horrible scoreboard down. Let me move. Oh, that's my PS5 one. Let's do that, and let's bring the boys out here. Welcome to the show, gents. KJ, we even on mute till he speaks because of the car. KJ, we were hopeful of a win. We were hopeful that we could go to Brentford, who have been poor this season by their own standards. But again, another disastrous result away from home for us, and another big defeat for Amorim and United. What went wrong today for you, my friend? What was wrong with the shape today, the lineup? Why couldn't we get going, in your opinion?
There's so many things wrong with this game today. So many things. The players had no intensity whatsoever. The intensity was poor. They weren't fighting for the balls. They had no control. They didn't show any kind of composure on the ball. Half the time, literally, lots of periods of the matches, it turned into volleyball. Lots of just balls in the air, people just knocking it down. No one saying, all right, no, guys, I'm going to bring it down and we're going to play some football. We didn't play football today. We played volleyball and a bit of basketball because that's what we was doing. Back and forth, lack of control. These players didn't have any composure on the ball. It was frustrating to see. The midfield of Ugarte and Bruno does not work. Bruno in the midfield doesn't work. Ugarte, it just isn't good enough. So I don't see why the manager persists with trying these two players in the same role week in, week out. We know what they are. They ain't those kind of players. You look at the defense, Brentford have a quick counter-attack. And we know that's what they're going to try and do, exploit. And yet we have probably our slowest backline, with Luke Shaw being our quickest player. When Luke Shaw's your quickest player in the backline, that is a problem. So we have Maguire there who gets caught, goes and he goes played onside. Easy goal for them. De Ligt, I was singing his praises last week. This week he was just comical, falling all over the place, making mistakes, missing headers. It just wasn't good from a defensive point of view at all from our defenders. Attacking wise, this is why I feel bad for Sesko. In the first half, he had like a couple of moments where you're like, okay, cool, he's been played in, he gets a shot off, maybe he doesn't make the right pass. You can say, okay, cool, maybe he's not had a good game. He gets his goal, which is fair enough. He was persistent, finally got it in. And then after that, what did he have? After that goal, what did he have to do? Where was the play to put him into goal and let him get shots off? Where was the crosses that were accurate to get his head on it? There was nowhere. Because you have Mbeumo who's having a poor game. You had Cunha who looks like he's succumbing to the pressure already of playing for Man United. He's so desperate to make something happen. He's so desperate to be the main guy like he was at Wolves. He's so desperate to score a goal that he's missing opportunities to play in Mbeumo, missing opportunities to play in Bruno after he's done good work. He's done good work. He's beat players. He's driving through the midfield like we'd like to see him to do. Now it comes to the final ball, the final shot, and he's fluffing it. He's making the wrong choices. And he looks like just a guy with a weight on his shoulders. Like he has to do something for Man United. I get that it's his dream. And I love that he loves Man United. But we need to find a way to make these players relax. Because all we do is snatch at opportunities. The crossing today, poor. Dorgu's crossing today was poor. Delo's was poor. He had one good cross, Delo, which happened to be... Actually, it wasn't even Delo who put that cross in for Mbeumo. But someone put the ball in and we got a pen from it. Cool. But the players are just... It's just not good enough from the players. Bruno Fernandes, you went and won us a last-minute penalty against Burnley. And then this week, I don't want to hear this whole, it took too long to get the penalty sorted. We can talk about that. We can talk about that as a officiating problem when we talk about the referees. But as a player, it could take you 10 minutes. It could take you 2 seconds to take a pen. I expect you to put it away. I expect you to have a better effort on goal than Nutty did. It was lazy. There's barely any power. It wasn't in the corner. It was a lazy penalty. And I don't know what's up with this man because he's normally a go-to guy. We've had 3 penalties this season and he's missed 2.
No, mad.
What is going on? Take him off pens at this rate just to get his head right. I saw Cunha talking to Amorim on the side. I'm like, yo, my man, Cunha's raring. Let him take it. Let him show something. Let him use that and blast that ball in the back of the net. It's just so frustrating that these guys are just every week you can't make something stick. I said last week that there was not enough control in the game against Chelsea. And we're seeing it again. We lack control, and it's really worrying. It's really worrying because clearly it's not just a player thing. The manager's picking players who can't control a midfield. He wants to play in a way where midfield isn't the main way of progressing the ball. He wants a wide player, the wing backs to progress the ball. He wants the centre backs to progress the ball and make opportunities. The midfield is just a place for combative players to lay the ball off and just keep running and keep being combative. We need more than that.
I hear you. We need more than that. I want to ask you a very quick question. If you had the chance tonight, would you move Amorim on now? Would you say enough's enough?
Yeah, listen, I know Neji will not agree with this, but I will say yes. I will say yes because it's the same issues we keep seeing. We keep seeing the same issues, and now he said that with 1 game a week, with a week of training, we can get the team better drilled. We can be more serious. We can play better football. But we're not seeing anything better. We've not seen anything better, and that's why I'm worried. That's why I say, you know what? Maybe it's time to move on because you're not making changes. He's not making changes. He's picking the same personnel. He's picking the same way of playing. And every team in the league can outdo it. Ruben Amorim just got outdone by a rookie manager. He was a set-piece coach last season. He's in his 6th Premier League game of his career. And he was able to exploit the issues that this system has. Exploit the issues that Man United had so easily. The long throws were a problem. The running in behind of the wide centre back, the space between the wide centre backs and the wing backs the space was getting exploited every single time. Using pace on the counter, it's not difficult to suss out how to beat Manchester United. Defend, compress the centre of the pitch. When you're defending, just get people into the box. Don't worry about the wide areas because the crossing is going to be poor. And if they do get it in there, the attackers, they've got nothing to feed off because the ball is always in the air. They're always going to be winning it in the air because we only got one guy 6'5", the other guys are below 6 foot, so they can always gobble that up. We don't play on the floor. We tried some bits on the floor in this first half, and it was working, but then we stopped. And yet the manager, as much as I appreciate him, what he's trying to do, if you're not willing to make adaptations for what you believe in this football league, in the Premier League, then you shouldn't be here. And I'd also one last thing, and then you can switch over, Terry. Ineos, listen to me. I understand that you don't want to be like the Glazers. You're not trying to be like the Glazers. You want to give someone time. You want to give someone a chance. But one of the things the Glazers did that always screwed us was not knowing when they just need to cut their losses with their mistake and move on. We always held on too long with players, with managers, with the way that we want to move forward. If you don't want to be the Glazers, it's not about sacking or backing managers. It's about knowing what your path is. It's about knowing what way you want to go forward and making sure that everyone in the club is getting to that goal. If the manager's not getting to that goal of what you want and he's not willing to adjust to get there, then he has to go. If the players are not getting to where you want and they're not willing to improve, not willing to work, then they've got to go. This is where Ineos, I'm looking at Ineos now. What are you going to do? What is the message that you want to send to the footballing world? Because Terry, Amorim has won 32 points out of 99. 32 points out of 99. It's on Ineos to make a decision. What do you want to do with this football club? And how are you going to fix this?
I hear you. Listen, a really good point is being made there. Aiden, what's your thoughts on this, mate? Because in terms of the performance today, just another game where we get, and it's hard to judge the Chelsea game, but we play well in the beginning periods. We beat them. We see it through. You can feel the relief. You can see the delight in the players. We go into the next game, no intensity, no adaptations, poor starting lineups, and then another defeat. Every time we take a step forward, it feels like we go backwards. What do you put that down to? Why did it go so horribly wrong today, Aiden, in your opinion?
I think you can't pinpoint on one thing, but one of the things I always come back to is he's lost the dressing room. The dressing room doesn't want to play for him. For some reason, he split up a partnership at the back that worked so well with Utd and Shaw. He started playing Maguire at centre back, where he's at fault for the first goal because he's too slow to be the last man. We've seen it multiple times before. Maguire's not fast enough. The players have down tools like they always have. And if we go back to what Rangnick said, open heart surgery, how many of the players are still here from Rangnick? So many are still here. We haven't had open heart surgery that was needed. And our manager's been outclassed by a set piece coach. Like, the fact is, I wanted Amorim. I backed Amorim, but it's coming up to a year now, and we're seeing no improvement. I don't see where we can go from it. The only way we can go is for Amorim to either walk or sack him. But then the thing is, we'll probably see what happens with every manager. Manager will come in, and the players will play up for the first few weeks, and then they'll get comfortable and probably down tools if they don't like what the manager's doing. It happens every time.
I hear you on that. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes, Aiden, another massive miss from him today from the penalty spot. Could have changed the course of the game. He's really not having a great season.
I think as there was news coming out saying he's not happy with where he's playing, but we all know he's not good in the midfield. But Amorim was either gonna he was gonna die on this hill basically. He was sticking with playing Bruno in midfield, and it hasn't worked out. So there's no chance that if he does stay, which is a possibility because Ineos, they don't want to sack him clearly, but he's going to keep on playing Bruno midfield. There's Bruno's not working, and the fact is he's been the reason we got that draw against Fulham because he missed a penalty. Yes, he did good against Burnley, but then we just lost against Brentford, where that's 4 points and lost. Like, the Burnley game's all good in that, but we just lost the game that we should have won.
For Bruno, maybe I saw a tweet. No, I'm a liar. I saw a comment in the comment section that said because he's being played out of position, he's not doing well. could those things be impacting his confidence when it comes to taking penalties, as an example?
I don't think so, because
Crystal Palace just gone 1-0 up.
Damn.
I think with Bruno in midfield, he's not a midfielder, but that doesn't affect if he can take a penalty or not. He did it against Burnley. He literally just put it all in the back of his mind. He scored a pen. So I don't think playing out of position is going to have an effect on if you score a pen or not. It's down to mentality. I think today it was just too much for Bruno, because I didn't even realise he was playing for the first half. He was nowhere to be seen, and coming from your captain.
It's because we don't play through the midfield like that way. So it's a lot more, long balls and everything else. The problem is when you can see the goal the way we did, Brentford then sit back deeper, and there was nothing else we could do. Sunshine, I'm going to go to you quick. I know you're out in the countryside, you're in the car. What did you make of today, my friend? What's your reaction to it? You need to unmute yourself, though. I can't hear.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's very lot of background noise. But yeah, try now.
Let me come back out. I'll come back in. Hopefully.
Yeah, try do that, mate. Try do that, bro. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Top man. We've obviously got Mr. Bond here. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, bro. What do you say about today's game? Horrible result for United again. Break it down for us, please.
Yeah, we've talked about the system a lot. The system is just not good. It's a mix of different things. I think at the elite level, any sort of vulnerability you have in your team will be exploited. We heard what the Fulham player said after the game with the gap in the middle. This system hinges on one thing to work, and that's De Ligt joining the midfield. He has to step in. If he doesn't step in, there's a huge gulf in the middle, and teams with mobile players will always swamp us out in the middle. So it's sorry,
Palace nearly went 2-0 up. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. So these are things. The point of a system is to hide your flaws and then accentuate your strengths. Our system does the opposite. It just shows the flaws. It's really bad. I think you look at Pep Guardiola. He's been able to adapt his ways. He's playing four centre backs at the back, but Amorim will never change. And I always think about Arsene Wenger when I think about people like this. Wenger was ahead of his time with the 4-3-3, and then when everyone started to go to 4-2-3-1, started to adapt, he refused to adapt. And it's like the analogy here is like a man who's using dial-up internet and everyone gets broadband, and he still says, "No, I'm just going to stick with dial-up." That is exactly what's happening to Amorim. It's very simple to see what's happening. Sorry.
I wanted to say, I get you. It's really interesting because I don't want managers adapting to these players, and I stand on that. However, again, there's always balance to everything we all say and want. There's adapting to these players and going, okay, I'll do exactly what you want. That's different from... Oh, yeah, Sunshine. Yeah, let's get this. There's a lot of background noise there. We have to try and speak to you another time. It's very different from, this is my system, these are my principles, but we're going to change this part and this little bit. Does that make sense? And I think that this, again,
I get that.
The conversations are worth having. I don't disagree with you. It isn't working. I look at it, well, the midfield gets overrun. No, well, the midfield needs a centre-back to come up and do it. But we're not able to make that work. So there's this element of, right, well, now what can you do to slightly adapt it? He isn't willing to do that. We're losing all these games. It's a little bit like, well, when's it going to change? Well, how long's a piece of string? So I agree with you. Sorry, back to you.
I'm not saying that he should basically just scrap everything and adapt to the players. But if you think about it, every year we talk about the players. It's the players. Cunha just came. He's behaving like them already. Šeško looks a shadow of himself. And we just saw what Mbeumo did today, right? So every time we get new players, it's the same story. My theory here is that we've never had the right manager and the right players at the same time. Van Gaal was the right manager, but he did not have a Bruno or a Pogba to unlock games. So we ended up just passing the ball around. Mourinho had the right players, but he was the wrong man to manage that team. Oli, I wasn't a fan, but Oli actually started to look good, and then the Glazers spoilt it by buying Ronaldo and everything they did. Ralf Rangnick was not the right man, and he didn't have the right players. Now we have players that I think are good enough to finally play that 4-3-3. And the thing that will really pain me here is if we end up selling Kobe Mainu, Bruno leaves, and then Amorim leaves. At the end of the day, it will be so annoying.
Do you know what? I get we've been saying this on the terrace for weeks, Mr. Bond, and you're so right in the sense of I'm not married to any one way of playing. I'm not married. I want a club that's got a direction it's going in, and we're buying the right profiles. We've already got rid of all of our left-sided attackers. If you then get rid of the midfielders that work in a 4-3-3, and then you go, right, this hasn't worked, we're going to go to a manager, and we're going to play 4-3-3, you're already starting off on the back foot. And our fan base as a collective, some have patience, some don't. It is wearing thin every time. So the new guy, let's just say Mainu leaves, say he stays till the end of the season, and Mainu goes, and then Bruno decides to leave. The new guy comes in and goes, right, I've got none of the midfielders that I would have wanted. I've got no left-hand side of the attack. There's still centre-back issues. By the way, then our centre-backs become even more vulnerable because none of them are that good. Euro might be. We haven't really seen it much in a 2. So, well, we've got to fix the centre-back area, but we've got no left-side attack. The midfield's now all gone. And you end up in this situation where it's like you're on the back foot again. So I do agree. If they're going to make a change, they've got to do this soon. They really, really have got to do it soon and don't allow any more damage to happen to this squad. If they're going to stick with this formation and this system and say we're riding it out until the squad is built perfect, I'm not saying I'm advocating for it, but I feel like they've got to almost say that to us because this is just, it's crazy now. It's crazy. I wanted a few super chats here. First one says the Glazers own 48.9% of the club and control 67% of the voting. Are they still not there in the background? Like they are. They don't run the footballing operation though, but they still have a conversation and a say within it. Gents, no way to get Xavi as our next manager. Do you think he'd be a good fit? I think he could do a good job. I don't know how good. I honestly don't know how good. And that's the one thing I would say. I know Barca, he was part of what, Cruyff was helping to rebuild it. That's Jordi Cruyff, by the way, not Johan. They were trying to help rebuild the club, but there is a specific profile of player that Barca buy. The one thing I would say overall, again, Xavi could come in and do a good job. I think he'd get our win percentage up. Not being disrespectful, I actually think Sam Allardyce could get our win percentage up. It's so bad at the moment. That all being said, the only worry I have with the Xavi is, do we have enough technically gifted players across the team to make the way he plays work? Barca, they just develop that. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like Hansi Flick, of course he'd make us a better team, but it's all about expectation. My one fear of a Xavi or a Flick or a Luis Enrique is everyone to be like, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's never going to be as good as you think with this squad. You're then going to feel shortchanged and the impatience sets in. Yes, we'd probably win more games, but I wouldn't say no to those managers. Of course I wouldn't. But there is a fear I have about bringing them in as well. But yeah. Sunshine, let's see if we can hear you now, brother. Let's see if we can hear you. Do you unmute your mic for us? Nah, you sound like a robot still, bruv.
All right, give me 5 minutes. I'll be back.
We're almost done. We'll try and get you on another show later on, mate. But yeah, we've only got like 5 minutes left. Sorry, brother. Thank you, my man. Thank you.
Terry, I just wanted to are you reading super chats?
They're done now. We've done all the other ones earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because Aiden said something about the open heart surgery and the who's left from what. So obviously we had this conversation like a couple of weeks ago. So I'm gonna just have it here now with Aiden and Mr. Bun, see what he says. So from the players left from each manager that we've had, permanent manager, and these players are also first team players. So I'm not talking about like youth team players we signed and then they some reason are still in the youth team. All right, so LVG, we've just got one, which is Luke Shaw. Jose, we still only have one player from Jose. We have 4 players left from Ollie, 10 from Erik ten Hag, and Amorim has had 5 signings. So this is why I'm getting not frustrated, but confused and with the club. Because because people say this line of, these are the same players who got LVG sacked, Jose sacked, Ollie sacked. But when you actually break it down, it's actually not. In terms of numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, where is this going wrong? When we say we need a clear out from each manager, and we were almost there. Where is it going wrong?
Everyone's gonna have their view on this. I look at it like this. There was a school that I grew up around in my area when I grew up called Tom Hood, and it was a naughty school. I had friends that went there that weren't naughty kids at primary school. There was kids on my estate that weren't naughty kids that went there, and they became naughty. Every year, like the year 7s joined fresh from primary school, they'd become naughty. It was 80% of that school. Like if it was like, you got into a fight with someone from Tom Hood, it was like, this is going to go down. It was something about the school. Everyone who joined, good kids would join. And they'd almost, it was a running joke in their areas, like you got pulled into the dark side, if that made sense. Mm-hmm. Behavior passes on to the next group of people. So I do think there is a cultural issue here that has passed from players to players. Equally, in Cunha having a bad game, I don't think that's the same as Maguire or the players that have been here through problems before. I do think it's multi-layered, but I'll go to the other guys on that.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I think it's also the fact that the leadership group that's been created is a lot of players from that past thing, because Bruno's not manager. He's the captain. Maguire's in that leadership group. Casemiro's in that leadership group. Casemiro is one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, but he's one of the downfalls of what happened with Ten Hag, because the midfield yet again was a problem. But it's the whole thing that the players have realistically have control over who wants to go, which manager goes realistically, and we've seen it with multiple players. It's not so-called one player or a group of players; it's the whole culture of the club. Like Terry said, that the players come into the club and they're instantly brought into the culture, and it's like they're just being shaped from the players that have been in from past managers.
What do you think, Mr. Bond, on this? Go on, Mick.
I just don't agree with anything there. The last guy from LVG is Luke Shaw. Amorim could not play him. He has the option. Euro was on the bench. He chose to play Luke Shaw. What's the other guy? Dallo is from Mourinho. He doesn't have to play. This man is playing him. The only people he has to play, I guess, are the Ten Hag people, because it's his last year. You know, there's not been time to do that kind of stuff. But he has the option. Tottenham fans last year were saying that the players were rubbish. Frank comes in, it looks different. Amorim is exceptional. He's special in the sense that he's the only manager I've ever seen at elite level that never had a new manager bounce. It's just been rubbish from the beginning. Like there are no green shoots of anything positive. Ollie, as much as I didn't like his appointment, he had McFred. He finished second with McFred. It's about doing more with less. This guy is doing less with more. I don't think these things are. There is no United fan that will pick McTominay over maybe Casemiro or something. I don't think there's any. Maybe now that he's a MVP guy, but no one will do that. And back to my old point, how good will it have been to have Fred right now to play in the midfield too? So we just sell the wrong player, sell the right player at the wrong time, and all that stuff.
Also what happens is, because we've done this a lot, where we change systems, because again, with the way we're trying to play, players like Freds and McTominay would probably suit the midfield pairing in this type of team a lot more. And this is the thing as well. I think Man United fans, as a collective here, so I'm not generalizing everybody, but what I'm seeing a lot of, your boy Ugarte, yeah, your boy with Sancho and he's gone. Yes, every Man United fan has got players that they like the look of or they supported the signing of, and vice versa. We do this. I don't think we help the atmosphere as well as fans. We're all standing there in these big glass houses, throwing boulders at each other, expecting our own windows not to get broke. And I know there's times where it's a little bit of fun, but hang on. But they could have been 4-0 up, by the way, Crystal Palace. The goalkeeper, Alisson's making so many saves. By the way, that's what special moments happen. Like Alisson has kept Liverpool in this. They should be out of the game. But yeah, look, I look at this, but I don't think this is a simple answer. Some things I think are simple. Occam's razor, the simple and most obvious answer is normally true. I feel when it comes to the culture question and the hope and heart surgery, I think some bad culture still exists. I think some of it is not even culture. It's just Luke Shaw and Maguire haven't ever been good enough. I remember the mistake that Maguire made today for that goal. We've seen that under 3 different managers in multiple formations. And from my perspective, that's where I look at it and go, maybe Ruben has to adjust slightly. but I wouldn't adjust to a point where he goes against everything he believes in, because then the players win and they go, well, we can do that again. We just haven't yet got the balance right. What I will say is I don't think this manager is going to be able to turn it round. Guys, look, I've got obviously covered the other games. I am watching them now. City are winning, Liverpool are losing. Chelsea just gone 1-0 up in their game as well. Enzo Fernandez with a goal. So we'll be covering that. We'll be live after those games at around 4:30, 4:45. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's watch along. So go and support my brother over there. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.